All right, perfect. What's up, family? This is Joe with Schematic Solutions. Today, we're going over a EurUsd backtest. Some of these trades we caught, some of these trades we saw in hindsight. So we're just ultimately going through and putting them all together. So first things first, as we're looking at this daily, what do we notice? What do we notice? And I do have some markups from more recent price action, but we'll get on into them. But what we should notice is, if I could turn on my annotation, perfect. This is our high. This is our high before it, which means this is our low maintaining. Now, we understand we're going to be looking at this as a target. We're going to be looking at this as a target. And we have these equal highs right here as a target. Now, the next point that we're supposed to be looking at is, okay, where are the institutions? Where's our POI or our schematic? And right here, this right here is our reaccumulation. The reason why is because we have 3 drives, 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive. That's our distro. We then build that creek. We jump across the creek and we break structure to the upside. So that confirms the schematic for us. Perfect. Let me just, I don't know why people keep texting me. All right, so now that's setting up the higher time frame. So now we understand where we are in the higher time frame, and we're going to be looking for a possible schematic out of here. First things first. Now, if we're looking for a certain area, we can measure the last push down, and we can see that we're already in 50%. So now we're going to scale down straight to the lower time frame, and what do we see? What do we see? Could we all agree that there is an accumulation down here? So let's mark it up. We have our climax to our AR. This is our change of character, our first deepest retracement. So climax, AR, secondary tests. We have another secondary test in phase B, and then we get our spring. And in our spring, we can see we have fractal schematics as well. Climax AR, secondary test in phase B that then breaks structure. So ultimately, that's something that fractal schematic is something we can keep in mind. But if we're looking to take an entry off of this, how are we going to play it? We typically want to look at the last push down, right? So we can measure from the top of this wick to the low, and we can play 50 and or 80%. Now let's ask ourselves, what is 50%? 50% is going to be about an 11 pip stop. This 80% will be about a 4.2 pip stop loss. So that's a lot better for us. Now we can see there is imbalance. We have imbalance down here. We are relatively like right at the open of this imbalance on the 50%. So now it's one of two things. We either wait for a schematic to play out and or we place our limits. So now let's place our limits. Let's say we're taking 50% and 80%. We're covering this low. Perfect. And and from covering the low, well, just from what we're looking at, our first target would be right there. That would be our first target, about a 1 to 4 and a 1 to 12, if they both happen to be tapped in. So now let's see how they play. So price is coming in, and we start getting some sideways movement. So perfect. So now let's say, this is going to be a good example right here. Let's say that for some reason, we weren't convinced in this schematic. Once we start getting this consolidation right above our entry, we know one of two things are going to happen. It's going to tap us in and confirm the schematic, or this is going to fail and hit stop loss. So seeing this price action would entice me to place my limits. So now 100%, our limits are placed, and we're waiting. Can we get a spring? We have Climax AR, secondary test, secondary test, secondary test, secondary test in phase B. And that was our spring right there that taps us in. We do miss the 80%, unfortunately. So now we understand we took out this order flow. So we can reduce our risk or go risk-free and possibly look for a reentry. Now, if we're looking at this, our last push down would be from here to here. One second. Let's backtrack one time, family. Sorry. What's up, Jared? How's it going, bro?
Going on, man? Everything good?
Blessings. Knocking out this back test. It's recording as well. So I literally just started.
All right, cool.
But yeah, so dive into it. We have like nice 10 trades. So back to it. Ultimately, just to recap, we're inside of a daily reaccumulation. We just got down into 50%. And now as we're on the 5-minute, we did see a schematic. We have Climax AR, secondary test, a secondary test in phase B, and then we get our spring with a fractal schematic inside of there. And we just measured the last push down move. Now, as we come in, we were just looking at this. As we come in, what do? 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive, 4 drives, 5 drives, and our spring right there. Perfect. So ultimately, now we've tapped into our 50%. We did miss the 80%, but now what do we do right here? We have our schematic, right? We have our clean schematic. Oh, don't do that. Perfect. So now we can look at a possible reentry now. So we do have this whole push down move, and we can look around 50 and or 80%. Let's see if we can stick.
Hey, Joe.
What's up, bro?
Why you don't use the other last push down?
Down here?
Yeah, that one.
So we can. It's just for like relative to this whole schematic. Where's the last push down for you? And you can annotate now.
Last push down. I guess you say that one.
So like
where you got it.
I would say either this or this as the last push. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the other one better. You said.
Yeah. Perfect. But yeah, so that's the reason why. Now keep in mind, we most likely have a schematic. I just can't scale down. So due to that, I'm not really measuring that. But now, like, let's say if there's any components, and we can see there's not too much influence. There is just the 1 minute that lines up with the imbalance field. The 50% of that. I said the 1 minute. 50% of this lines up with that imbalance field. So that would be something you can play out of. But now I'm really just going to be focusing on this move. Now I'm not going to be placing any type of limit. We're going to wait to see if we can get a schematic out of here. If price does decide to take out this high, then we can look for the limit. So let this do its thing. So it already tapped into the open, and it built this imbalance down here. So that might have been our best trade. We could just keep running. Perfect. So we have our new high. So ultimately, we understand if we do end up coming back down here, it's enough for us to place a limit off of. Now we can just wait for the compression right above. We get that compression, we can then place a limit. But no compression, no limit. Perfect. And we'll just run through. We can scale. Okay, perfect.
The only time you set a limit on your extreme when it's like a higher time frame.
Higher time frame or intraday. Gotcha. There are times where I will place a trade on, or like a limit off of the lower time frame extreme. It's just if I do the intraday has to line up or the higher time frame. Now, if let's say the intraday and higher time frame are just a little like let's say they're not necessarily lining up with the lower time frame, but the lower time frame just looks so good. I'm like, oh, I gotta at least place it. There will be times like that to where something just looks like a perfect schematic, and you're just like, man, let me just throw it at it. And that's when I'll just throw my light risk. But in all reality, I try to typically just stick to our higher time frame and intraday extremes, and so that's going to be anywhere from like the monthly all the way down to like the 1 hour, I would say lowest.
Bet.
Yes, sir. So continue letting this play. And what does it look like we're starting to do? It looks like we're starting to distribute, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. So we're in a valid area to distribute. Start marking this up. I see this as Climax to AR. We could honestly have a couple of scenarios now. How I'm going to look at this right now is this is going to be our change of character. So we have our change of character, we have a secondary test, and it looks like we're getting our uplift right now. That's our up thrust. Perfect. Whoa. Hold up. That's crazy. So we break and exit our trading range, right?
Yep.
Nice. So now it's just really figuring out, can we get an order on this? Now, what would you look for, bro?
Well, I'll probably do the last push up. That's what
The
I've been doing lately.
got you, perfect. So now, what are you looking at as the last push up?
You can look at it from two ways, to be honest. You can do right here to up here, or you, if you want to, you can do right here to right here.
Perfect. Now let's look at both of those, the larger and the smaller. So we can see, based off of the larger range, it actually looks better in my opinion. Hear this. And the reason why is because the larger one, the 80%, would line up with that pretty much as a balance on the 5 minute, right?
Yep.
So that would be pretty nice. So I think I'm gonna play. No, you're good. Perfect. I think I'm gonna be playing out of that. So we can place our limit off of 80%. Now, what is 50%? Is it worth it? So it's a 9 pip stop. So we will split our risk. Perfect. So we have our positions. Let's make sure we have buying Climax to our AR. We then get our secondary tests, our minor sign of weakness, and our up thrust. From our up thrust, we break structure and exit our trading range. We measure our last push-up movement, and now we're looking to take entries off of 50 and or 80%, and maybe we could take it down to this area, right?
Yep.
Perfect.
But would you need to wait for a schematic since it's a type 2, or do you set them? I know for me, I've been waiting for a schematic. Like I'll set my limit, but I have to see like some compression first before I set it.
So now let me ask you a question, brother. Let's kind of set the screen, or the story. We are currently in a buy from down here. We're about a 1 to 6 plus or minus, and price starts giving us a schematic. What are you going to do? Are you going to try to hedge a position in to protect your position, or would you chance? So ultimately, would you throw risk here and risk either one, it being tapped in, or two, hitting stop loss and still being in a position? Or number two, would you like to miss out on a possible distribution and maybe just end up hitting break even or whatever the case may be? And for me, whenever I'm in a position, that's when I start being more aggressive because I already have something that's going to cover my losses if I do take this loss. So as soon as we're inside this buy, we get this schematic, I'm willing to give it a shot off the hedge, especially if it's something like the 80% for sure, the 4.4 pip stop loss. Just keep in mind, we took an 11 pip stop loss down here. So this 4.4 pip stop loss can give us some like a nice R to R to close out the day if it does play out. You feel me? So it really just comes down to how you want to manage your trades. And that's like really what everybody in trading is trying to figure out. Like we all, like especially smart money Wyckoff traders, we all have the same confirmations. It's just how do you look at your confirmations and how do you manage your positions and manage your entries and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just like in most scenarios, we would like to wait for a schematic. In this scenario, if we would have waited for a schematic, we wouldn't have been tapped in. Now, for me, hold on, when was this? Let me actually make sure. Yeah, this is when I actually caught. Yeah, so this was back on the second. Oh snap!
This month?
Of April. Yeah, of April.
Oh, my birthday.
Oh, your birthday's April 2nd, bro?
Yeah.
Dang, that's dope. That is dope. But yeah, so ultimately we have our two, let me make sure, our two entries right here.
Yo.
What up, Dylan? How's it going, bro?
Let's do deal.
Do you hear that echo?
I do.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm not gonna cap. I low-key think it's Jared. Mic check 1 2.
Yeah, it might be me. Hold on.
Try to mute yourself 1 second.
Still here?
Oh wait, I don't hear it no more.
Yeah, that's good.
But feel free to unmute yourself whenever, Jared. Feel free. But yeah, so ultimately we have. Now my laptop's frozen. This is crazy. All right.
I came and fucked up the whole vibe. My bad.
Dang, thanks, Dylan. No, it's all good. I was missing y'all. Pretty much like we literally just started. We caught one entry from this accumulation. We're inside of a daily reaccumulation, which is why we're looking for the accumulation out of it. Now we started to distribute, so we're looking to possibly hedge a position down to possibly catch another buy. And then obviously what we're looking for this week, we're coming down to this. So that's the only reason why this is still there. But we'll get past that. But now ultimately we got tapped in like extremely quick. This was a news event. Price breaks, it pushes one direction at 5:30, comes back, taps us in, and then flies again. But now keep in mind, we're expecting for price to come lower so we can possibly hedge a buy in. Or not hedge a buy, continue with our buy. So we're falling, and this is where we first get these signs of a schematic. And I'll pause it right here. Perfect. So let's talk about kind of how we would have managed this, because this is like pretty important. We could have talked about it right here, but instead of closing our position, we hedge the position. But now let's say we're not going to hedge again. Let's say it doesn't give us an opportunity, meaning like it didn't come down to the area where we're looking to actually buy, but it did build an accumulation. As soon as we start seeing this accumulation start being built, we can just take a partial. So whether that's right inside here, whether that's inside here, or whether it's you get in the spring and you're like, oh, we have a fractal accumulation inside here. Ultimately, structure points and these schematics are areas we can take partials. Now, let's say you take a partials and this comes lower. You're good because you paid yourself and price is you're still making money off of it. But now let's say price builds a schematic and comes all the way back and breaks you even. You took a partials and you're broken even, you're good. Nothing to worry about. So exactly what happens, we take our break even, possibly a partials based off of getting this schematic down here. But now keep in mind, there was no entry for us based off of this schematic. So ultimately, as we're looking here, we can start anticipating price to possibly come back down to this level for us to get a buy out of, right? And we're going to start going up to slightly higher time frame. And we'll just let price play, because I believe the next couple of trades we're going to be looking at are going to be towards mid-April. So we could let this play for some time. April 7th is where we're going to be looking. Oh, sheesh. Aye, aye, aye. All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. So we can scale down here. We can scale down and look at ultimately what we're getting. So there's a lot of information right here. So let's dissect it. First things first, can we all agree that there was a reaccumulation here? Sure, we all can. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We have our reaccumulation. Now, this is our high, that's our high. This is maintaining purely lower time frame right now. So we could see it does get broken, but what does it get broken with? A larger schematic, right? So we have this schematic right here, and let's actually scale into this. This is something I haven't looked at. So now, what type of schematic do we have? Really doesn't matter, but
Type 2.
Yep, type 2. Climax AR, that's our change of character. We have secondary tests, relatively ugly. Would have definitely liked them to come deeper, but this secondary test is confirmed as our secondary test in phase B once we get that sign of strength. Now we do have this whole push down move. And looky there, 50% was already tapped into, but we haven't mitigated out of 80% yet. So here's how we could play this. Let's say we took
Hey,
this.
Joe.
What up?
Sorry to cut you off, but how do that other push down line up with it? That's inside of that.
This one right here.
Yeah.
So the only reason why I'm not measuring this is because like the move we want to measure is always going to be that spring movement. And if we don't have a spring, it's going to be that secondary test in phase B. And this just doesn't do it for me.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't line up with anything perfectly. But we could see 80% of that would be that 5-minute open of this move. But that was just simply the only reason why I'm not looking at it. Really just looking at this whole push down move, and 50% was already tapped into for sure. This was only a 7-pip stop. So now let's talk about this. Let's pretend as if we've taken 50%, and let's talk about what would disqualify us to take the 80%. So anybody who wants to talk with me about this, what would make you delete the 80%?
New high.
Perfect. New high relative to this, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So new high, we delete the 80%. Right now we're plus or minus about a 1 to 3 from that 50%. And yeah, so we have these two positions. We can press play. Never got the new high. So our 80% was still active and we got tapped in. Unfortunately, I don't believe I could scale too deep into here. But just from me training my eyes, I can like say with some confidence, this is at least a type 2 schematic right here.
Yeah.
So we build a schematic right into our entry. Now, what are we looking for? Ultimately, first things first, we're risk-free with this break, right?
Duh.
Risk-free at about a 1 to 9. Looking to take our partials, our first partials at that 1 to 17. And we'll just let this do its Dougie. So we're risk-free. And we've taken our first partials now. So now let's talk about how we're going to be looking at re-entering this. Can we agree that these are our two highs?
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. So ultimately, that means that the low in between them is what's maintaining us, right?
Yeah.
Nice, nice. So the lowest point is right here, but now keep in mind this price action mitigated out of here. So I'm going to be looking at this whole push down move. Let me send this to the back. Send to the back. All right. So we're going to be looking at this whole move right here, from the top to the bottom. And this is really, really simplified my personal entries. Instead of having to look for the crazy candle, we could just look at the whole thing. 1 second. All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. So now, it's just, okay, can we take this ultimately? Can we take 50 and 80%? So 50% covering the low would be a 16 pip stop loss. So unfortunately, that's something that I can't take. If you guys can take it, then of course it's something that you guys can take. Now the 80% is more like it. It's about a 7 pip stop loss. So we'll ultimately just wait. Now keep in mind, if price does start to build a schematic right above the 50%, I will be willing to place it. So let's watch this as we come in. It's just tweaking. All right, perfect. And what do we do as we come in? Is it gonna give us something? All right. What is price doing right now? Can we agree?
Bit of accumulation.
Yep, we're definitely starting to accumulate. So if we're starting to accumulate, could we agree that this is possibly climax to AR? Climax AR, secondary test, UA, secondary test in phase B, possibly. Just keep in mind, if this is our secondary test in phase B, we need a break of structure, exit of our trading range, not something that just barely pops up. I want a full break, and we'll be able to play out of something in here. If not, hopefully it gives us our springs and our limits are set. Our limits are set. I know Dylan would place this 16 pipper off of the 50%. So
eating it up, bro.
thank you. I need it. And we could take this 80% as well. So ultimately we get that schematic and we're good. Now our first target is going to be this high. Like so. And then obviously we're going to be able to manage it to the left, and really see where we're going to take this to. But perfect. We have our schematic. Now, can we get tapped in? All right. So let's talk. We got tapped in. We're tapped in to both. She barely came down. Nice. So ultimately, how are we going to play this, family? I'm assuming we're all looking at the same area next, which would probably be the spring, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So now let me ask you guys a question. Are you guys looking for a schematic out of here, or are you placing a limit?
Schematic.
I need a schematic.
Perfect, perfect. So now what would allow you to place a limit?
If I get a type
A new
one.
high.
Got you.
Oh,
Yeah.
new high, yeah.
Get that new high, or if we start getting the schematic above our entry, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we can then allow price first before. Let's make sure we have this set up. What is 50 and 80%? Our 50% would be a 16.8 pip stop loss. Our 80% would be about a 6.5. Unfortunately, this time, I'm not going to be looking to take the 50%. I'll really just be looking to take the 80% if we can build a schematic down here. So let's see if we can break. If we break, I'm going to place that limit. If not, we got to wait for the schematic. We're just walking. All right. Based off of that, we could start building something. If this is our schematic, I would be looking at this as Climax AR, secondary test, and we can just continue to see. Now we break and we don't come back yet. All right. So I have a question for you guys. Now, does this price action look relatively similar to this? Could we see that this could possibly be our accumulation? I know we were just looking at a little higher, but keep in mind, we were looking at right here, but price broke. We never got back inside the trading range, so we started building another range. We could say Climax AR, secondary test. We have another secondary test in there, another secondary test in phase B. We have that UA, and this could be our spring, right? So we can see we've already tapped into that 80%. So that's the limit we should have had. So let's see how we're, yeah, we already tapped into that. Right there, about a 6.5, and we will be looking to continue and take this up. Bare minimum right here. And once we get here, we can talk about our higher targets as well, which will definitely just be something to the left. Can we stop trip? All right. Perfect. I'm gonna have to delete some of these videos off my computer. It's got my laptop running slow. But we have our spring. Now, if we break structure and exit the trading range, we possibly will be able to play something out of here. We broke. And our order flow based off of this is our high, this is our high before it, this is our low maintaining. Our order flow, lower time frame structure is bullish as well. We've just been walking price up. So due to the fact that we're in these two entries, we've possibly taken a partials, gone risk-free. We're in this entry, definitely risk-free, taking a quick partials, gonna throw some risk at this. So it's just all about, okay, where? And we have the last push down, right? Relatively repetitive. We have that last push down. Now, can we play 50%, or is the stop loss too big? About a 11 pip stop loss. Jared, what do you think? You playing the 11.5 pip stop loss or no, bro?
Yeah.
Got you.
I don't do more than 12, but that's a 12 really. So yeah, I'm playing that.
Say no mas. So we have the break of order flow. So let's play it. We have 50%. We have 80%. Covering the low. This will give us our 11, pretty much a 12. This will give us our 4.5. Let's see. We're at least looking to target up here for all of these at the very least. Oh, that's crazy. Can I?
Them equal highs back there.
Back here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could count them as relatively equal. This would be our next target that we'd be looking at.
Yeah. Sure.
And if we're just looking, let's go straight up to the daily, look at some targets. So based off the daily, we understand like if that's our high, that's our high, this is our low. We can have targets above every single high. So above this high, let's say we're just going to have above that high. We can have inside of our redistribution here, we have our accumulation, the ice, the break. So this is our shakeout, or inside the distro. So we have multiple areas we can be looking to take our partials or profits. As we scale back down.
Hey, Ro, can you do me a favor real quick?
What's up, Finley?
Say something inspirational.
Oh, you caught me off guard, bro.
I wanted to hear the echo.
I honestly don't even know. Like, you completely caught me off guard. I was like, I don't even know what I could say.
Oh, God.
Oh, snap. But yeah, so we have these positions so far. And this is how, like, this is how we stack our entries. We could see we've just been on the 5-minute relatively. We don't have to do too much with playing with time frames. Of course, higher time frame to lower time frame. But once we have our higher time frame bias, we can then play the lower time frame out of our area. So we tapped into that daily reaccumulation, and we've just been taking price up. We hedged the sell to protect us. We couldn't get into another buy from down here, but we're just taking price up. We're just walking price up. So once again, we made the new high, we made that high. This is our low maintaining. Can we tap into one, if not both of these entries? Can we or no? Damn, we actually missed out on the distro. We could have possibly hedged. Now, I'm not going to mark this up or anything, but can we identify that distro? Climax AR,
Yeah.
secondary test, secondary test, secondary test. That could be our up thrust. That's our up thrust. We break structure, exit our trading range. Now, let's say we're looking at this last push. Where do we tap into? Almost 80%. That was right there. We tap into 50% right there, close to 80%. So it is what it is. Would have been able to possibly hedge price down, but let's see if we could get into these buys. Oh, sheesh. So it did look like it barely tapped into. Oh, okay. Okay. There we go. So we tap into 50% for sure. No 80%, unfortunately. So thank you, Jared. You allowed for us to get tapped in, make some chili. So now, ultimately, let's understand we just made that new high that we've been waiting to make. So now this is our high, this is our high, this is our low maintaining. Let's see if we could come back and build a schematic. Let's just see if we can get a schematic at this point, because this isn't necessarily too clean. We have a crazy wick. We could measure the whole push down and say we want a schematic anywhere out of this area. And we can then allow price to play. Do we come back? lots of choppiness, lots of liquidity. All right, what are you guys seeing now? Could we agree this could be a possible schematic? Let's see how it wants to play. Reaccumulation. All right, so would you guys say this is a reaccumulation?
Most definitely.
And would you be looking to play out of it?
I don't know. I don't like the leg to the left. I don't like that leg. I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't know
definitely
how I'm feeling about that.
So
If I get a clean schematic, I'll be willing to take it. Yeah.
Perfect. That was just what I was gonna say.
Damn, I was talking this whole time.
I hate when that happens.
Oh man. But yeah, I agree with everything he said. Like to the T.
Perfect. So we'll wait for a schematic here. Now, it does look like we're possibly building a schematic above. So if we were to just pause it right here, we were to just pause price action right here, how are you guys looking at this? Could we agree that this could be our possible trading range?
Yeah.
And if that's our trading range, that means this is our change of character, which means we have a buying climax. We then have a secondary test. We have an up thrust. And we have a U-tad.
What is this?
My rally is whipping.
Well, are the roller coasters going right now? Oh, it's over.
Oh snap! So we have our schematic, right? Our possible distribution. So my question for you guys is, how do you guys want to play this? Are we going to see if we could build the distro into this area and build a schematic? Or are we going
accumulation?
Sorry, yeah. Are we gonna wait for? So are we gonna wait for this distribution to confirm and build a accumulation inside here, or
gotcha.
like ultimately, how are we playing it? How are you guys looking at it?
Since we're already bullish, I'm waiting for the accumulation.
Yeah, I would wait for the accumulation.
Perfect. So we're waiting for the accumulation. Do we get an accumulation? Oh shit. My question for you guys: do we get an accumulation?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Yep. It's pretty ugly though, right?
Yeah. It might be a smaller, like a fractal one down in that little spring right there.
Yeah, I just don't think we need to scale too much down. But
I don't think we could go on the 1 minute.
How we'd be looking at this, possibly climax AR, secondary test. This price action, I don't even want to call it a UA, secondary test in phase B, then we get our spring. So now keep in mind, this spring actually taps right into 80%. So if we saw this price action, honestly, I wouldn't have been too convinced with it. But let's say we saw it, we placed it. What is our stop loss? Is it even worth it? Can we? It for sure is, because it's under an 8 pip. We got to cover this low. So it's about a 5 pip stop loss. So we're tapped in on that. But now keep in mind what just happened with this break of structure. We confirmed this schematic, right?
Yeah. It looked like it's building one too.
Are you talking about like climax AR?
Time frame?
Yeah.
Perfect. So now my question for you guys is, based off of being tapped in, going risk free, confirming the schematic. Are you guys placing a limit off of this or no?
Nah, I'll just wait for a new high.
Got you. Personally, I would have, and this is how we ultimately just stack entries, and like my logic and my reasoning behind this. We're tapped in and we're risk free. We were just willing to place whatever risk at this, so why not, since we're risk free, already have some profits, throw our same risk at this. Keep in mind situations will be different, but just in this scenario, that's what I'd like to do. And one of two things is going to happen. You're going to get stopped out and lose your original risk, which you definitely had some profits from already, or you're going to be in two trades and you're going to be able to stack. So always just ask yourself, does the reward outweigh the risk? And you can always figure out what you guys want to do. But now let's say that we did decide to place 80% due to the fact that it was only a 5 pip stop. We were looking for that re-entry on it. And then we're looking to continue taking these up to higher targets. We need much higher targets. So let's see. So let's say the next area bare minimum we're looking to take this up to would be there. Wow, that's crazy. All right. I swear it's like Safari. It always tells me like this web page ultimately makes my responsive slow. It's always on TradingView with Safari, but never on Google Chrome. But it is what it is. So we have that as our next target we can look at possibly taking up to. Just keep in mind we're still just holding everything. Nothing's came back to hit us out break even. We're just managing, looking to continue stacking entries. Where do we never have a blue line? That's crazy. Okay, I guess there's just no blue line.
You just gotta stretch it out some more.
Oh, is that it right there?
Yeah.
I dragged it so far up. All right, perfect. Perfect. So that's that. Now, can we get an entry from this schematic? Can we get one? So we do get tapped in. Oh, sheesh. And what are we doing? Could we agree that this could possibly be a schematic?
Yeah.
Perfect. So now how I'm managing this is due to the fact that this could be a schematic, we definitely could come lower with this break right here, reducing my risk. If we break this up here, I'll go risk free, take a partials right there. Can we confirm this schematic right here, the whole thing? Well, ultimately what we need is break of structure, exit of the trading range. Oh, and we get stopped out. So this doesn't last. We last for a quick little, let me drag this one up so I know my same target. This was only about a 1 to 3 before we got stopped out. And it does push and make a new low relative to this as well. So with that being said, it stops us out of this trade as well. And we're just managing to see what's going on. So now based off of us being tapped out of that, are you willing to possibly look out of here or no?
Could we just build, like, we had built a small accumulation, and then with them lows, doing equal lows, so that could just be a stop hunt right there.
Got you. Perfect. So probably just gonna wait for a schematic here, if anything, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll let this run.
What happened?
So it does look like it gave a little reaction, but the reaction was nothing. It ends up taking the high. We end up taking that high. So based off of just our order flow, we have this is our high, this is our high. That's what's maintaining. Let's see if we can get a schematic out of here. We get a schematic, we'll be able to take it off the schematic. There's just nothing clean here for us to really look at. So we'll just watch as we come in. And we obviously took that low. Oh, sheesh. So
that had to be news right there.
Yeah, without a doubt, it had to be something. Now, ultimately, what does this do? This confirms the reaccumulation, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So this whole thing is now our reaccumulation. Reaccu. Perfect.
Joe, is that accumulation right there?
Where?
Let me see. What's it? Right here. No, not there. I don't know why it's doing that, but right here.
I don't see any circle, brother. So where we do have accumulations that we can see, like we had an accumulation inside here.
Sorry, the connection cut off.
Got you, no worries. You're talking about right down inside here? Right down inside here?
It's still loading.
I circled that. I assumed that what he was talking about, though.
Got you. Azana, can you hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you. Now I can see things.
Okay, got you. So ultimately, we don't really have any clean accumulations. Keep in mind what an accumulation is. It's going to be 3 drives and a breakup structure. This right here is ultimately just a shakeout of our reaccumulation. And a reaccumulation is a failed distribution.
That's not where I was talking about. I was saying right here.
Do we have 3 drives in a breakup structure? We could, but it's not important to me due to the fact that we have our distribution that failed. We jumped across this creek, we broke structure. So ultimately, if there is an accumulation inside there, it was broken with this price action, right?
Oh, I see. Okay. A
Perfect.
little bit.
Got you. So like, let's say you're looking at this is your high, this is your high. We were looking for an accumulation out of here. We don't get no accumulation. We never get 3 drives and a breakup structure. So there is no entry. This price action takes out that accumulation if it was there. If it's there, it's like a 1 minute accumulation. We would really just have to scale down into there. But now, like how we're looking at this now, let's ultimately understand we had a distribution that was taken out, and this whole thing together, based off of our distribution failing, we jump across the creek, we break structure. This is our shakeout. So ultimately, we're looking to buy out of this now as we come back. So now we're going to be able to zoom out. Let me see the annotation. All right. So now we're going to be able to let price play a little bit. To see if we ever come back down. If we do not within some time, I'm going to jump into some of the sales I wanted to go over with you guys, because we had some pretty nice shorts that we were looking at. But let's see. Can we come down? Nope, it doesn't look like we're going to be coming down. It looks like it's trying to stay out all night. All right. Yeah, we are going to have to scale in. So where's the next area we would like to look? Let's look at where we are. So we've just been walking price up. We haven't got to our target over here yet. So, okay, perfect. I'm going to fast track price. Ultimately, there's no more entries I personally caught inside of here. Now I'm sure we can like back test some entries, but just from here all the way up here, I personally didn't catch anything. So there's not really much I can go through based off my memory. But now as we get into price up here, this is where we can start talking again. Can we scale in? And we can go to the 5-minute. Damn, it's already right there. We can already see it. Okay, so now that we've hit our final target, so we can see we ended up making a new high relative to the price action. So we would have took a partials here, possibly would have took a partials inside of here based off of this distribution starting to play out. And then the real area like we were targeting was of course the high, the new high. Now I believe none of these actually stay. The only ones that stuck were these down here. These two entries that we took ended up hitting break even, and everything else never hit break even. So targets, looking to take these up to here. Let's just get these all up. All right. Okay. So we've walked price up. We're at the top of our trading range. So keep in mind the price cycle. When we're at the top of our trading range, it makes sense to start looking for distributions. So we've taken liquidity from the upside, which is another scenario where it would make sense to start looking for a distro. And what do we have? Could we agree we have a distribution?
Yep, a nice type 2.
Nice. Azana, can you identify this distribution as well, brother?
Yeah, I see it.
Perfect. 3 drives, 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive. We break structure. So now, Azana, my question for you is how would we be looking for an entry off of this?
We need to measure the 50% of, yeah.
Measure the last push, right? Perfect. So we're
Yeah.
going to measure that last push. And we see 50% has already been tapped in, unfortunately. So now we can still play the 80%, but what would disqualify the 80% for either one of you guys?
It will get low.
Perfect. I believe Jared said that. If we do get a new low right here, if we get a new low and break this price action, we would have to delete our 80%. If not, we'll leave our 80%. And this is something, keep in mind, like where we are. This is important, where we are. We just took this out. So based off of our order flow, this is our high. This is our high before it. Technically, we can come all the way down here. Technically. So with that being said, that's going to be our target. We're looking to see if we can come all the way at least down to the extreme. At least down to the extreme, which we're looking down inside this area, but we do have a lower area. But that's where we can be looking at as like a final target, plus or minus maybe second or third, or sorry, maybe like third target. But now, obviously, first time we're taking partial is going to be right here if we get tapped in. So we can let this play. And what do we do? What do we do? Can we agree that price built a distribution?
Yep.
Clean 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive, 4 drive. Start type 4.
Yeah, type
and then,
1.
Yeah, sorry. Type 1. I said type 4. Clean type 1, and then we break structure, exit the trading range. So that's our confirmation. Now, we can be looking at 2 areas here, and this is where I will be paying a little bit more attention to the like just the spring movement. But now we have this whole push up, and we can see 80% lines up with like the imbalance fill right there. And then let's say we wanted to measure our last push. And I gotta change this. It's like it messes with my eyes, like how dark it is. Needed at 35. Sheesh, all right, that's a lot better. A lot better. Oh my gosh, that was hurting me. So we have that, and then we have our last push here. And there's not any correlation. Now, 50 and 80% are higher than this 80%. So it's really just depending on how you want to play it. Me personally, how I played this, because this trade, it was crazy. I was playing off of a candle, and I literally missed the 80% by, like, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 2 or 3 pipettes. So I missed this trade, and once we had this price action, I wasn't going to play off of the 50% because I didn't want to miss it. I played off of the 80% of the larger move. So ultimately, 80% is set. She makes a new low, which confirms it. Oh, sheesh, where are we? All right, let's play. Okay, so this is something we could actually look at. Let's pause it. Can we pause? Okay. So as we're down here, we are looking for the short possibility from 80% still. But let's ask ourselves, what do we do and where? Let me just place this first. We're looking to cover this high. and continue taking it down. So how I was looking at this is we have this point of interest that mitigated out of this reaccumulation right here. Now we did, and I was looking at this as an accumulation. It's super ugly. The secondary test isn't too pronounced or defined. But, and let's say, or yeah, so ultimately how I was looking at this was Climax AR, secondary test testing the demand out of the last push right there. We do get a small UA, nothing crazy. We get the secondary test in phase B, and we get the sign of strength. So now as we come back down, can we come into this move, and is it worth it if we do? And is it worth it? And I believe actually I was looking at the 20-minute right here. So I want to see how that lines up, but 80% is 2.8. 50% is about a 6.5. So it looks like we can take both. In all reality, I would like to wait for a schematic though. If it gives us a clean schematic, let's pull the trigger and we'll see. So it taps in, no schematic though. Was that our schematic? That could have been a schematic. Honestly, either way, like we probably wouldn't have taken it because it tapped into us right here and then we never break the high. So we'll just let this go, do its Dougie once again. Do we ever come back to that high point? And maybe we could go up to the 15-minute. So let's talk about this area up here as well. So we're looking to take the 80%. Was 50% too big up here? Do you guys remember?
Nah, I don't even remember.
Let's see. 50% was about a 10 pip stop loss. So let's say we're splitting our risk. Let's say. Can we tap into both? And it looks like it's starting to give us some type of distribution. Oh, it's not. So that does tap us in, and this is the. How do we want to look at this? Let's say Climax AR secondary test up thrust. So this is our up thrust. Our up thrust, then we need to break structure, exit our trading range, which we do. Now we can possibly look at a schematic out of here or place our limit. Now, this is our last push up. 50%. Oh, that's 19 pips, so we can't take it. 80% is 8 pips, so that's the only thing we can take. So my limit's off of that. Based off confirmation of the schematic, let's see if we can get tapped in and take her down. Nope. Doesn't look like she's coming back for us. All right. So that is that. Let's scale out one more time. Go to current price. Okay, nice. So that was the last entry right there. Now there is one more area I wanted to backtest with you guys, and this was an area that we were looking at actually on a call before the New York session together, and this just went crazy. I believe we all missed it if I'm not mistaken. And it was down inside here. So as we get back to that area, let's see, what date was that? I know I sent it out in Discord. I think it was like the 16th. Okay, so we'll scale it down inside there. So now, ultimately, like, to set this up, we've just been walking price down. So we did catch the 50% up here, and we're looking to continue taking this down to our lower level. We're just looking to see if we can continue selling. So we wanted to see price pull all the way up here so we can look at a possible distro out of it, and we never get that. What we end up doing, let me see. What day and time was this? I think it was off the 1 minute, if I'm not mistaken. Damn, yeah. Okay. So it was off the 1 minute. Can we scale back that far? Yes, we can. All right. So I think this is what it was right here. So now let's set up. We already understand the higher time frame. We're bearish. Our order flow is bearish, especially now. Like 1 minute. What is our 1 minute order flow? And our 1 minute order flow, this is our low, that's our low, that's our high maintaining for our 1 minute order flow. Ultimately, as we were looking at this, and I thought it was before the New York session. It was actually on the New York session. As we're looking at this, we have this schematic right here. Inside of what's maintaining the lower time frame, we have Climax AR, secondary test, minor sign of weakness, up thrust, possible UTAD. What do? We break structure, exit our trading range. Our entry, we're then looking at the last push. Which is right there. And we just missed that 80%. I believe on some data feeds, the 80% actually does get tapped in. But from here, pretty simple. We're looking at our first target as being this low, which we get once we come along over here. Come on, give it to us, buddy. Bam. First target. And at the same time, this is when news comes out. So the reason, like the big reason why I wanted to do this back test was obviously so we could train our eye to see more schematics, to see more entries. But I wanted to emphasize looking for our schematics before news, because think about all the schematics we got prior to this. Let's just go to the 1 hour. Prior to this, we have a 1 to 26, 1 to 117. If we get all the way down here where we actually are, it's only like 1 to 50. And then all over here we had a 1 to 50. We had a 1 to 50 probably. So we haven't had above a 1 to 100. But now when we're trading in confluence with the news came out literally like 5-10 minutes after. It really allowed for us with our extremely small stop to maximize our R to R. So we could see the news really goes crazy, and where this actually ends up running to, it's all the way up here. Where do we max out at? We max out at where we are, or where we went today. And we could see that was about a 1 to 199. So I would really recommend, if you guys haven't back tested a couple of these trades, to go back and really just back test it, train your eye a little bit, but look into tomorrow and next week, really looking for our schematics right before the news, and or right after the news, and see if you could take advantage of any opportunities. But that's that, family. We had a nice little back test. I believe it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like 11, 12 trades. So have a nice little case study I'm going to be knocking out this weekend for us. And from the case study, we'll just be able to ultimately study it and build on it. So now coming into like current price, just to end the call, this is our low, this is our low, this is our high maintaining. This is a valid distribution, and this whole thing is a redistribution. So as we come up, I am looking for a distribution out of here. I'm looking at 50 and 80%. I do not have any limits. 80% is about an 8 pip stop. So it's not too big, but I will just be watching price as we come up. And that's ultimately all I have for EurUsd, family. Do you guys have any questions? Any trades that you guys personally took on EU or anything like that? If not, we will call it a night. And Jared, we are supposed to have our one-on-one at 8 today. But I've literally been on the calls literally like nonstop. Do you think we could run it tomorrow, bro?
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Just let me know what time, and we can run it whether it's early or in the evening.
All right, I got you, bro.
Say no mas, family. Say no mas. But perfect, family. That was everything. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And if you guys would like, feel free to check out like the Smart Money Concepts course and the Wyckoff course. I've been adding like a little bit every here and there. So if you guys haven't been on and checked them out in a minute, I would definitely recommend it. But that's that, family. Have a great rest of your night.